Hello, Internet. My name is Nick Forker. I am one of the comics people, and today we're going to do a sketchbook tour. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what sketchbook to start with. I'm going to start with the one that's in my bag that I'm working on right now. I figured that's pretty straightforward. So where's the lie? Here we have a card that I just wrote. Right there. We have an elf that I drew from memory. It's very hard to draw elf from memory. Here's a nice tree. Maybe you can see the detail in the trunk that I'm really happy about. A nice tree that I drew in 2017. And one of my Nick Forker, the New Yorker stickers. All right, let's dive in. All right, so first off, we have this beautiful number 48, which was, if I'm not mistaken, this is our table number, Comics People, Mike and I, at one of the shows that we did. But the reason why I pasted it in here because it was also 84 was our number at SPX. So I like, or at Mocha. I like to have a nice, it becomes a collage, a scrapbook, a journal of sorts, and a sketchbook. So we have a pumpkin wizard here. Pumpkin? Penguin. Definitely a penguin. All right. A little doodle of a cartoon balloon. This guy walked past Mike and I when we were in the West Village. He had nothing on but some demon wings, whatever you call this thing, and a jockstrap and a captain's hat. Pretty classic New York character right there. Island never inked. Here, I'm always writing in my ideas. So here it says deliberate. So deliberate, meaning like intention over momentum-based actions. It's just thoughts that come to mind. I try to keep all this stuff for future use. Here's a nice little illustration I did in one of Josh Bayer's classes. Here's some rocks that I drew in October. These rocks were for Honk Honk action movie. So lots of rock formations in this sketchbook, actually. I think this was just about getting some textures down on the page, trying to figure out how I would draw the rock formations, and to create something cool with ink that I could then bring into my comic. Give it some scale as well. So you'll see the birds work there for scale. Have a nice vista of some foreground, middle ground, and background. This was one that I hadn't finished. I just put in the first layer. I think I was doing the first layer with brush and then going back in with the pen to do detail. So this is a brush layer. Here I have some aliens, just an idea not finished. Here's actually the original art for the Comics People t-shirt. If you don't have one of these, follow the links, you will find it. I have them up for sale on TeePublic. Actually, the shirts, the quality of the prints and everything, I was really happy with. So this came to me because Josh Bayer had done a drawing of Mike and I, and the drawing he did of Mike kind of reminded me of Bluto. And then the light bulb went off and I go, oh, what if we draw me as Popeye with my coif, and then Mike as Bluto, but on Olive Oil's body. And it really does play up the he's thin and tall and I am shorter and stockier, so it really worked. Here I'm just doing a study of a Picasso painting that I did in Josh Bayer's class. This is about love, how to create love. Not just, playing with that idea of making love, but not just as a euphemism. Making love as a generative act that is not destructive, and all the things that are creative, and why creativity is not naivete, actually. It's far more difficult to be kind and curious and creative and present than it is to fake strength and just tear things down. Harder to build than to break. So here I have a nice little thing about truth is a pathless land. This idea that no one can lead you to the truth. You have to find your own truth. There's no map to it. You kind of have to follow your own path, and it leads you to your truth. And anyone who's telling you they know something and promising you truth is trying to sell you something or make you, subjugate you in some way. Here I've written, you never know which experiences will stick to you as a kid. Just this idea that we have these formative memories and we don't necessarily get to choose them. I'm playing with some type here, honk honk action movie. You might not be able to see, it's very faint. I like to draw in faint pencil so that I don't have a lot to erase. Here again, this is the final scene for my honk honk action movie. Here I was at a festival, an outdoor festival, and I picked up a $1 Conan comic, and I think it's like Conan 71 or something in that area. Anyway, I really enjoyed the cover, and I got to drawing a study of a John Buscema drawing, and I just kind of loved it. Like, I had so much fun drawing it. It's so goofy. Oh, I realized I didn't finish it. So it's so like goofy and like he's so ropey and like contorted. It just felt like an action figure from when I was a kid, like a He-Man character or something. It was like really fun. And one of my students asked me to draw a unicorn, and they named it Joe Sparklecorn Jr. So you see, like, I do sometimes leave a lot of air in my sketchbooks. I don't really care. Sometimes it's just about getting an idea and moving on. And then sometimes I'll come back and I'll draw more stuff in here. I think I was trying to illustrate that, like, goofy boot that came out in a few years ago, and it was like the Astro Boy boot. And it was like that giant red stupid cartoon boot that people were wearing that cost like $600 or something. It was so ridiculous. Like, who's wearing that right now? Like, give me a break. Although when I saw it, I was like, I totally wear that. But you know, it's like probably made out of silicone, and it's like gonna be so sweaty. Like your whole like leg would be drenched. Anyway, some cloud studies, some rock studies, working on some inking textures. I can turn this so that you can see it better. Just trying to get a good sense of brushwork and having fun with the brush too, just like playing. A lot of times, you know, they say that kids play and its discovery is a real thing, so. More character studies or character design or illustrations that I needed for my book. So sometimes I'll write the book straight out, and then I have to go back and do little drawings to fill in certain spots and studying this character again. This was an interesting exercise. I was playing with the kids about how to contort head shapes. So changing the contours to make unique head shapes that inevitably lead to interesting characters that don't look alike. I think oftentimes in cartooning, we have this kind of like same face syndrome is what they call it, where you just draw the same face over and over again. So this is an exercise in changing the contours, warping and distorting things to make distinctly different characters. And so here I have, I wrote word balloons. It says, I ascribe to no belief structure. I do not believe in exploitation. I am not a Republican nor a Democrat, nor am I a libertarian or any kind of inane political party affiliation. I am a member of no club, no country, no rulers. I am a secret third thing. Religion is myth. I believe in me. I believe in kindness. I believe in truth. Personal truth is subjective. So, you know, leaving yourself a back door, just kind of working out different ideas. Here's an interesting thing. I was doing the same thing. I like to put down ideas, and now I've been attributing them to different cartoon characters. So here I have Island saying, what do you think happens when you die? And my friend saying, nothing. I have a little gnome here. I think this was inspired by Alex Layard's Halloween costume. It says, are we addicted to communal suffering? And then I have Orko here saying, I apologize for my cis white heteronormative body. And then down here it says, I'm so glad I brought beef jerky to this thing. It's like eating a fart. And that is an actual quote from Philly Comics Expo that I said to Nate Doyle. I'm gonna write actual quote. So a sketchbook is a living document, right? You can just always get back in here and do more. Like if I wanted to bring this character into focus here, I could do that. I could just get in here and outline this character, bringing it to life, and adding something new to my sketchbook. One of the things that I love about Josh Bayer's class is that he's always just drawing over old drawings. Like he'll find drawings, like something like, it could be anything, right? And he's like, oh, and it breathes new life, because for the class, you know, you want to draw something, so then he'll pick up a drawing, he'll work on it a while, he'll add some new life to it, and then kind of move on to something else, always demonstrating an idea, but what I find infectious is this idea that like none of these things are precious. You can just like pick them up, keep working on them. Maybe they'll end up somewhere you like, or maybe they don't, and it doesn't matter because you don't have to finish it in one sitting. You can just go to the next thing. And that's kind of what I was doing here. This is really rough. I tend to draw much tighter than this, but this is something I was doing while I was watching TV. So I bet you can guess what I was watching. It's just an automatic drawing. I'm doodling. This is a pure doodle. This is the same vibe. This is me doing some Conan studies, really fun, playing with essentially action figures in a way that as an adult I think is totally fine, which is drawing them. And this is after De La Torre. I found some of this Conan art to be really compelling. Very Frazetta-esque mark making here, and really nice use of black. I just loved the black. Notice how it's diagonal from one another. The two main areas of black here and here are, and then there. So it's a kind of escalating, takes you around the page, right? A kind of back and forth, tic-tac-toe, boop, 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 boop. It makes a ladder, and it brings your eye from the tip of the spear, or sword in this case, all the way down to the land and then back up again. So a nice triangular shape and really, really cool. Here, sketches. These are studies. I'm working on this back muscles, you know, like trying to figure it out. Again, every time you do sketches, you're going to internalize some of this stuff. So you're going to start figuring out what is happening and why it's laid out that way and why we draw what we draw the way we do. You're going to internalize it, and it's going to start to make sense to you. And I think the back is something that most people neglect. I can only really speak for myself, actually. I think that I have neglected drawing the back. You know, you figure out the pieces, you put them together, and you add some muscles, and you go on your way. Here's a character that I'm developing. If you look hard enough at this, you can figure out where these influences came from. I like the idea of, you know, collaging together this pastiche, and then, you know, it's an homage to underground cartooning, but it's also just an homage to cartooning. I think, like, in my mind, certain things just are cartoon language. And so this actually came from an exercise, this character came from an exercise that I give the students, which is like, can you take apart different characters and reassemble piece by piece into a new character? And that's what this exercise is about. That's where this character came from. You'll see the character again. Here I'm experimenting with color. I just wanted to see, sometimes you get a bug, you get some energy in you, and you go, you know what, I mostly draw in black and white. Let me see what happens if I start drawing color. So I was put on some dumb fantasy movie and worked on color drawings. And so here you have the results of me kind of just like noodling around. Would I call these doodles? Maybe quietly to myself. I just hate the word. It's like, just like I don't like the word latte. You know, it's for no reason other than it just gets under, makes my skin crawl. So this is Jeffrey Tambor. So Jeffrey Tambor shows up in Hellboy 2. And so these drawings, Jeffrey Tambor, and then this isn't even, I just kind of like took those little monsters from Hellboy 2. I basically wanted to see creatures. I was really in the mood to see fantasy creatures. So if you have any suggestions for like a nice compendium, an almanac, if you will, of creatures, some kind of like, I don't know, some sort of like well put together creature manifesto, you know, send it my way. I want to see some creatures. So I'm always interested in looking at other people's fantasy creature designs. I'm fascinated with what people do. And so this was one of the ones from Hellboy 2, and I was just changing it a little to suit my needs. I didn't want it to look, I wanted it to look more like a praying mantis kind of, but keep this like weird, this head reminds me of the Max. The Max. Those things that used to, they were like all black or something with the teeth, and they would follow the Max around. They were the bad guys like minions. Was that Sam Keith? All right, so then next we have this fish. So once in a while, my friends will hit me up and be like, hey, Nick, you're good at drawing. Can you draw me a fish? And I'll say, yeah, I can draw you a fish. And so I will take the picture they give me and I will draw something cool. Hopefully this looks good. I don't know. I did it all with marker. So this is all Prismacolor and Copic markers. And then I add a little ink on top. All right, after the fish here, I have, this character is from one of my books. So I'm making some ancillary art for one of my books and, you know, just a cool cat wizard hanging out. The cats that I've been drawing lately, especially when they're gray, across all my books, I've been introducing these cat characters, and they're all an homage to my cat that I had when I was a kid. His name is Jinx. Jinx the cat. So in my book, you make a hero. And in this, I'm showing people that after each roll, what you have changes. So this Yeti becomes a Yeti inventor. Oh, so smart. Look at him. Look at him with his swab and his pencil behind his ear. You know he's making stuff. This Yeti inventor, I should probably put the beaker coming out the other side, but maybe it's a small beaker. The Yeti inventor is from the forest tracks, right? A nice little Bigfoot stance there. And then his animal pal is a squirrel. So I wanted to draw a cartoon squirrel. More Jinx the cat. Halfway inked here. More Yeti inventor. He's got a torch. And then continue with text. I like to do all my text on paper by hand, and then I scan it into the computer, and I'll clean it up and edit it there. But I do all my letters by hand, everything. I do everything by hand. And as you can see, most of it's on paper. I don't really like to work digitally. I think I like digital for a couple reasons. One of the reasons is coloring. I like doing digital color, but I really just practice doing my colors. Like here you can see a study for that fish. And it's just practicing doing the colors in analog medium, I think is so much better. And so then on the back of those practice pages, I'll usually do some sketches. Here we have Reed Richard and Ben Grimm. More fish drawings, really just trying to get, you know, I like to get in a couple studies so I know what the hell I'm doing. This is stuff from a class. I was teaching a kid how to do eyes and squashing and stretching and torso stuff. And just laying out the body in general, like the spinal cord and stuff, and how to do a figure. And this is that sheet that I had created when I created this character. So I create this sheet for the kids, and I say, you know, take one part of each of these characters, or as many as you need, rather, but each part of your newly designed characters should be from a different cartoon character. So here, let's see if we can, I'll put this up on the board, and let's see if you can pause the video and see if you can guess who comes where, what part is from which character. And so now if you pause the video, you probably know that obviously right off the bat, the first thing you probably see is Charlie Brown's t-shirt. Okay, Charlie Brown's shirt, right? We got Betty Boop's eyes. We have Bugs Bunny's head. We have Paw Patrol's ears, throwing you there for a loop. You might not even be able to see it, it's so small. We have Popeye's legs. And yeah, that's it. So I'm sure you got all those right. All right, moving right along. Oh, sick. I'm glad this is in here. So I recently got a John Buscema artist edition. And you know, I don't love to collect artist editions because they're so big and unwieldy, and it's like, how are you going to really keep more than a few of those around? But I do have probably like a half a dozen. So John Buscema is one of them. I got it as an early Christmas present. And I mean, it's just like something to study. It is, those artist editions are like a master's course in a book. If you copy all those drawings, you will probably learn a lot. And this is one of them. The wasp is held hostage here by another character that I don't even know who they are. This is interesting. I'm going to do this next. These are some cloaked figures. They will look real cool when they're inked. And another John Buscema drawing. And then I couldn't I would be remiss if I didn't draw one of John's wizards. This is from Marvel Fanfare. I think it was like Marvel Fanfare 26 or something. It was the cover, part of the cover image for that book. And that's it. As you can see, I still have some sketches to go. Oh, and as I said, 84 to 48. This is the one. All right, well, that'll about do it for this sketchbook tour. My name is Nick Forker, coming to you from New York. I will see you next time. Thanks for coming by.